Hello, YouTube. It is the Troll King, back at it again with an album review. Haven't done one of these in quite a little while. I've been slacking on my YouTube, which really goes against a mission statement. I was supposed to be using this channel as a means to document, having a kid and what all that means. But unfortunately, having a kid means I don't have a lot of time to do the YouTube. I have continued with the bodybuilding and all the other things, but I think I'm going to be able to get to a good spot now. I guess maybe this will be a good time as any to talk about the kid type stuff. Essentially, he's almost November 10th, which will be my birthday. It was when he will be 2 months old. So for this period of time, he's getting to where I have a little more free time to do things. He doesn't quite, have to be right there. My wife and I are really coming to a good balance of how to do things. So I just figured, let me hop back on this, and especially because one of my absolute all-time favorite bands, Finntroll, have released an album, Vredesvavd. It's terrible lighting and it's a really dark color into the art, but the art's incredible. So I'm definitely going to download a picture, and hopefully be able to figure out how to get it, up while I'm talking about it. Vredesvavd, or Wrath Woven in Swedish. The new album, their last one, Vredesvavd, came out in fucking 2013, so it's been a 7-year wait, which has been rough on us Finntroll fans. I have been into Finntroll since about Vredesvavd was 2001, basically since about then. It's when I first heard them. I was finally plugged into the internet by that point. So I was 14 years old when I was finding different things, and it was just a really easily accessible band. Obviously, ever since I was a kid, I was into. This is going to sound bad because Finntroll is not a Celtic band, but the Celtic type sounds and things like that. And obviously, I've been a big D&D fan. And at that time, I was emerging, getting into black metal, getting into extreme metal. And so this is one of the first bands I heard. In Flames and those melodic death metal bands had a lot of acoustic passages, and they had messed around with things, certain songs like Hargelatin off Lunar Strain, mixed like violin, strings, that type sound with the metal. But then a band like Finntroll kind of takes it to a new level. And what I love, and have always loved about Finntroll is it's not super gimmicky. I guess it kind of is gimmicky. Apparently, the story was Katla and Trollhorn, I believe, the keyboardist / one of the masterminds musically of the band, both this band and Boonsorrow, another amazing band. Well, I don't know what kind of juice that dude's working with, but it's amazing. But it was something they came up with in the studio. It was just fun to mix some black metal with. And if I butcher things, just kind of deal with it, man. I barely have any followers on the channel, so what's going to happen? But I believe it's called Humpa. It's a Finnish type of polka, and they mixed it together with some black metal, and it gave it a cool kind of tone. As I understand it, I don't know when bands like Ailstorm and Korpiklani got together, but it was one of the first times that kind of sounds had been melded together. And they made their first album, Midnattens Vidunder, and then Vredesvavd, which is when I got into them. And it's a mix of, they have those polka-y kind of tunes where it's like a really kind of up-tempo feel to it, but then they also, have a little standard fare, just some synths with some epic sounding kind of black metal, mainly in the vocal department, some in the guitars, but on those early albums, the synths really didn't drown out the guitars, but it was really almost drowned out the guitars. And so in 2006, well, getting ahead of myself, I'm doing a little history, but I believe 2002 or 2003, Katla, the vocalist for Finntroll, who wrote and still writes all the lyrics, and as I understand it, decides, that direction of the band, and they speak Swedish. So, he speaks Swedish. They're a Finnish band, but he's a Finno-Swede, which is a minority in Finland that speaks Swedish. So I go off what the internet tells me the translations are. They could be singing something completely different. But it deals with shamanic roots of a lot of Finnish lore and folklore, I believe. And then obviously your standard fare of trolls doing stuff and knocking over stuff and, all kinds of shenanigans. But 2002, 2003, he had some kind of vocal polyp or something, some kind of bump on one of his vocal nodes. And I don't know if he was able to get it. Either he couldn't get it removed or he got it removed and it took. But either way, he was not able to do the vocals anymore. He couldn't do the screams. So they got a guy named Wilska and did the wildly successful Natford. Probably the song that most people know Finntroll for is Trollhammaren. the Troll Hammer, which that'd be cool to have that be like a thing that I could do. But yeah, whatever. They're probably mad at me enough that I keep calling myself the Troll King. But whatever, man. I'm sorry. Jeez. And then something happened. I don't know, some kind of inner band thing. So in 2005, he was out, and the new vocalist, or current vocalist that was new then, Vreth, joined the band. And that's when I really, really was in love with Finntroll, because when he joined the band, they made an album called Ur Jordan's Jupe. I think it's Under the Roots of the Earth or something like that. But anyway, or From the Roots of the Earth. But when he joined, his vocals, he can do a really good Katla and Wilska impression, and probably most of the time that's what you're going to hear, I guess, which is good, because it sounds like Finntroll, doesn't sound too different. But he is a lot more capable, in my opinion, as an extreme metal or a black metal vocalist. So there's some times where he really lets off with this just brutal scream that very, very good, very nice, very nice. And with Ur Jordan's Jupe and the following Niflvind, to me, their aesthetic got a lot darker, a lot more, for Jordan's Jupe, very like mired in earth. The guitars came out, they got a lot heavier, they got a lot more jagged, came out to the forefront. And they still, they keep that foothold in the humpa kind of tone. It pops its head up, but they, had a little, almost like a little more gothy inspired, like gothic, like Danny Elfman kind of deal on those two albums. And Niflvind took a lot of that and even added like some trippiness to it, like you're gone in some weird, tripping on shrooms in some weird shaman grotto, I don't know, in the forest somewhere. And then it's funny because they did Vredesvavd, and a lot of people on reviews that I've seen, just before I did this, I kind of looked around what was going on to see, I don't want to do a review and have an opinion that everybody has. That's not to say that I'm going to intentionally falsify a different opinion, but you don't want to hear the same crap over and over, and if somebody's covered it pretty well, then that can be that. But the things that I heard about Vredesvavd were that people thought it was kind of like they were taking a step back and, not adding any. I really thought Vredesvavd was kind of like a more aggressive Niflvind. Like they took the keyboards back even more, maybe a little less lush, brought the guitars out even more, and especially a song like Midwinter Draken, where Vreth just, oh my god, it's a brutal song. Really good, really heavy. But then they were gone for 7 years. That was 2013. So I don't know. I kind of thought they had broken up. So when I heard about this album coming out, I was very, very, very excited. And when I first heard it, it's funny that Vredesvavd was the one that got the criticism, which if you even call it a criticism of, they were just taking a step back and they're going back to what they were already doing. To me, Vredesvavd is a very much return to Jacques Steed and Natford, with the big difference is they took what they've established with Vreth, the heavier, more aggressive vocals, the upfront guitar doing a lot more, and mixed that back into, especially Jacques Steed. Like I get a really hardcore Jacques Steed vibe on a lot of these tracks, especially, you get to tracks like Ormfolk, which was one of the first ones they brought out. I have these written down if it looks like I'm looking off screen because it's difficult to pronounce some of them. Vredesvavd and Myron especially, you get a lot of that kind of influence from that album. And so it becomes a very interesting conversation to have when you review an album like this, because there's multiple ways of looking at reviews. Do you review an album as a standalone entity, sonically, what does it do and things like that, and if you're going to do it like that, then Vredesvavd is amazing. Sonically, it's as amazing as those kinds of albums, but sounds better. It's got a more lush, more upfront kind of production. The guitars and the drums sound amazing. The keyboards are there, but they don't drown everything out. They really, and a lot of times they just add a lot of like atmosphere with different choir effects. Sometimes when the guitars slow down, they have a cool little melody that they establish that becomes very awesome. Or do you review the album in terms of, as it stacks up with all the rest of with a band's discography? And then there's two ways of doing that. You can say, is it, there's certain bands like a Mr. Bungle or something like that kind of thing that you want that band, because they've already established that as being their MO, to always do something different. Like if they release an album and it sounds like their previous album, that's a knock against it. And then there's bands like a Metallica that maybe want to go back to an album they've done and try to recapture some of that spirit, and it's gone. It's just obviously not genuine anymore. and so that's not good. Or there's a band like AC/DC, who's always been AC/DC. If you like one AC/DC album, you like all of them. And I think Finntroll honestly kind of fits into that kind of motif, with slight differences that we've talked about, mostly sonically. If you like one Finntroll album, you're likely going to like all of the Finntroll albums, because it's just that kind of feel. It can be a very fun experience. That's what I like the most about them, is it can be a fun thing to have on in the background that's very up tempo, that'll keep you kind of like in a good mood. But if you have time and you sit down and you're digging into it, there are a lot of little nuances, a lot of little nuggets and little cookies of just surprises going on, different twists and turns that you wouldn't expect. And especially since Vreth joined the band, or Jordan's Jupe, they've amped up that black metal aspect a little more. And so my personal favorite tracks, At Med and Sten, which is number 2, instantly kicks off with like that one. Vidhexen, Herd, and Mask, I think, are the ones that really do the best at marrying what they've started to establish with Vreth versus what they had the whole time with Steed, Netford, and that whole era of the band. And it's pretty amazing. And so those tracks especially, I think, they're a lot more aggressive. There's blast beats. There's a lot more kind of like gothy, spooky sounding choirs establishing atmosphere while the guitars do what they're doing. Vocally, what do you say about Vreth? His voice is like potato chips for the ears, man. You just got to keep listening to it. You want to hear more and more and more of it, at least to me. Ilaren, the last track, I believe it's the last, or it's the next last track, because there's an outro, continues in the long trend of Finntroll closing tracks that are kind of slower, mid-tempo, darker tracks. Very, very, very cool. I mean, you hear the chorus, like, Ilaren, and you're just going to, over and over and over, you're going to sing it. But, so yeah, if you like Finntroll, and you love those albums, or any of their albums, you're going to like this one. It's just fantastic to hear them again. Are they the band that I need necessarily to change anything up? Maybe in subtle ways, which they had and have done, even on this. So there's little, I guess if I had to, I'd like to see them amp the black metal side of what they do up even more. Just I feel like vocally he can do it, and it would just be really interesting. But beyond that, it's a great album. I've listened to it front to back about 10 times in the past week. At work a lot, during workouts a lot. It kind of fits every kind of mood and motif that I would want. So I really think it's a killer one. I think it's hopefully not going to be another 7 years before they make another one. Hopefully they get back into a regular swing of things and start, maybe now that they've kind of shook the cobwebs back off, maybe start stretching back out a little bit. But beyond that, man, let me know what you think about the album. Let me know if you think I'm off my rocker. Let me know if you think I'm just really bad at album reviews, or if I just come across as a douche, or let me know a lot of those things simultaneously. Just let me know, man. Just tell me what I can do. Tell me what you need. But anyways, all right, guys. I'm gonna try to get in to do videos a little more frequently now that little man is getting to a point where he's pretty good. This is the Horrendous Idol t-shirt, long sleeve. It's amazing. You should order one because they're awesome, and give them money. Support metal. I ordered a Finntroll shirt. It's going to take forever to get here, but I did get the album, and I'm very happy. I own all their stuff on CD. And I don't know, when I was accumulating their CDs initially, it was pretty easy to find them, I guess, at record stores. But now that I've looked back and looked into actually like buying their older discography, it's oddly kind of hard to find their CDs. So I don't know. But anyways, thanks for watching, if you do watch. And I'll catch you later, guys. Bye.